Imagine the distant horizon, where the sun barely peeks over the icy waters. Suddenly, cutting through the mist, Viking longships emerge, sleek, powerful vessels gliding through rough seas. These ships carry more than just warriors. They carry ambition, fearlessness, and the thirst for the unknown. Vikings weren't merely raiders or pillagers. They were masterful navigators and seafarers who ventured far beyond Scandinavia, reshaping the course of history. From the stormy shores of England to the distant lands of North America, their legacy is one of relentless exploration and unexpected settlement. This is where their story begins. The Sea Kings. The Vikings, often called the Sea Kings, rose to prominence as masters of the sea, driven by a hunger for wealth, land, and opportunity. In the 8th century, Scandinavia faced challenges like overpopulation and limited resources. These conditions, paired with internal conflicts within European kingdoms, created the perfect storm for the Vikings to launch their infamous raids. Early on, these raids were less about conquering land and more about securing riches, especially from vulnerable, unprotected coastal settlements. One of the most iconic moments in Viking history occurred in 793 AD, when they raided the Lindisfarne Monastery in England. This brutal attack on a sacred Christian site shocked the European world and marked the beginning of what we now call the Viking Age. The raids didn't stop there. Vikings targeted various monasteries, towns, and trading hubs, striking fear into the hearts of many. But the key to their dominance wasn't just their fierceness. It was their incredible naval technology. Their longships were revolutionary, designed for both speed and agility. These versatile vessels could navigate the open seas and shallow rivers, allowing Vikings to strike deep inland, often catching their enemies off guard. Their mastery of the seas gave them unmatched reach, expanding their influence across Europe, from the British Isles to as far south as the Mediterranean. With such success as raiders, the question remains, what made these sea kings turn to settling the very lands they once ravaged? From raiders to traders. As the Viking Age progressed, these fierce raiders began to transform into accomplished traders. While early Viking expeditions were focused on raiding for riches, they soon discovered that trading could be just as profitable, if not more sustainable. Their ships, which had once carried raiders, now sailed vast distances to establish trade routes across the known world. From Scandinavia, Vikings traded with places as far as the Byzantine Empire, North Africa, and Kievan Rus, exchanging furs, amber, and slaves for silks, spices, and precious metals. With this shift, the Vikings didn't just bring goods back home, they also brought back new ideas and influences. They began to interact with other cultures, adopting new technologies, languages, and religions. This cultural exchange made them more integrated into the societies they once attacked. Vikings learned from the people they traded with, blending their customs and knowledge into their own way of life. As they grew more involved in commerce, Viking outposts that had once served as bases for raiding evolved into permanent settlements. In places like Ireland, England, and Scotland, these early encampments transformed into thriving trading hubs, such as Dublin and York. Here, Viking merchants conducted business with local and foreign traders, solidifying their role as both raiders and settlers. But what caused this shift in Viking behavior? Why did these once nomadic warriors choose to settle down and embrace a more peaceful, prosperous life, settling new lands? As Viking ambitions grew, so did their horizons. No longer content with raiding, they began to seek new lands to call home. In the 9th century, Vikings like Eric the Red led expeditions westward, settling in Iceland and later Greenland. Eric, banished from Iceland for violent disputes, ventured further into the unknown, discovering Greenland and persuading others to join him with promises of fertile lands, despite the island's harsh conditions. His son, Leif Erikson, pushed even further, making one of history's first recorded European landings in North America, a place they called Vinland. At the same time, in England, Vikings established the Danelaw, territories in the north where they became farmers and traders rather than just conquerors. In regions like York, Jorvik, they integrated into local communities, building long-term settlements, farming the land, and engaging in trade. This shift from raiders to settlers helped Vikings blend into the societies they had once attacked, leaving a lasting legacy on the cultural and economic landscape of Northern Europe. This transformation from nomadic warriors to settlers marks a significant change in the Viking story, one of adaptability, resilience, and ambition. The Viking legacy. The influence of Viking culture reached far beyond Scandinavia. One of the most notable examples is Normandy, where a Viking chieftain named Rollo secured a deal with the French king. In exchange for land, Rollo agreed to protect the region from future Viking raids, thus becoming a vassal of the French crown. This land, known as Normandy, literally land of the Northmen, became a powerful duchy, with its rulers, descendants of Vikings, later playing a crucial role in European history, including the conquest of England in 1066. The Vikings also left a lasting imprint on the cultural landscape. In places they settled, their language influenced local dialects, leaving behind Norse origin place names throughout England, Ireland, and Scotland. In Iceland, the Althing, one of the world's oldest parliamentary institutions, was established by Viking settlers, showcasing their approach to governance and law. Their art, craftsmanship, and shipbuilding techniques influenced local architecture and design, leaving traces of their distinct styles across the regions they explored. The Viking legacy is not just one of conquest, but of cultural integration and influence, shaping the development of European society for centuries to come. Their warrior spirit and pioneering spirit continue to captivate and inspire to this day. Conclusion. From the ferocious sea kings, whose raids spread fear across Europe, to settlers who built new civilizations, the Viking legacy is one of both conquest and creation. Their transformation from warriors to traders, and finally to settlers, shaped the history of Europe in ways that continue to resonate today. The Vikings didn't just disappear, they became part of the very fabric of the cultures they touched. The legacy of the Vikings lives on. Now, the influence of Viking descendants is still visible in the languages, governance, and societies they helped shape. To this day, their adventurous spirit and innovations echo through history. Explore how their impact is still felt in our modern world, and discover the enduring mark they left on civilization. Subscribe for more fascinating stories about history's greatest explorers, and dive deeper into the incredible journeys that shaped our world.